As I've mentioned several times in previous videos, the backbone of this particular project is the interview with Chuck and Ava about their search for and ultimate purchase of a classic Mercedes-Benz. So the interview is the foundation of our edit. It's the thing that we need to build the rest of our show around. So before we can start making it pretty and polished, we need to get that core squared away. In this case, it's primarily editing the audio. The portions of the interview video that we'll see are fine, but it's the transitions between the three different clips that we've used here that are a little bit rough in terms of the audio. If we take a listen to the transitions here.
And he thought I was crazy.
Once the kids were...
That's not too bad there, but it's a little abrupt. And then the other edit here between the second and third clip, this one's even a little worse. This one will need a little more work.
Example, and I was delighted to end.
Let me play that for you again here.
Example, and
so there's a real hard break there. We need to kind of clean that up. We're going to shorten or trim out a little bit of the gap in between there. So the first edit is actually going to be fairly simple. I'm going to zoom in so I can see the audio waveform a little more clearly. I'm also going to increase the track height for my audio track so that I can see that waveform. When we're working, especially with audio, it's useful to be able to see the audio waveform, this little amplitude modulation wave thing here, so we can kind of use that as a guide for cutting. We can tell where words start and stop. These low points in the waveform, that's usually silence or very low volume. So if we play through this and kind of listen to the audio and watch the waveform, you'll see what I mean.
It was crazy.
So this is his chuckle. Right there, okay? So what I want to do is kind of trim this part into the next clip. I want to kind of tighten that up a little bit and see if I can't make that a little bit smoother. Let's play through it one more time. Yeah, so there's a little bit of an audible bump there. Let's take that out. So one way that we could do that would be to simply use our selection tool, click on the edit between these two clips. I'm going to get my little red bracket and I could drag that to the left. Now that leaves a gap there that I could close up with a right click and ripple delete. Okay, that's one way. It's a couple of steps. Let's undo that. Here's another trick. This is called an extract, and we'll use this again in a moment with the other one. What we're going to do is in the timeline we're going to mark our in point and our out point for the segment that we want to remove. So I marked in by tapping I, out for out by tapping O. And now I'm going to press the extract key, which is the apostrophe. So watch what happens here when I tap apostrophe. It takes out that segment between the in and out points and it closes the gap. It's an extract edit. Now let's play through that.
Once the kids were...
Yeah, that works much better.
It was crazy.
Once the kids were...
Now don't watch the video because it jumps when it goes from one clip to the other, but listen to the audio. Close your eyes and listen to the audio.
Crazy.
Once the kids were...
Yeah, much smoother. All right, let's move to the other edit, the other transition here between the second and third clips. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can get there. And then we'll zoom back in again. By the way, zooming in and out, plus and minus, if you want to see everything that's in your timeline, tap the backslash key on your keyboard. That's 3 keys to the right of the letter P on your keyboard. That's a fit timeline to window command, so no matter how long your timeline is, it will zoom out far enough so that you can see the beginning and the end of all the media in your timeline. That's useful sometimes to make sure that you don't have anything hanging out at the far end. Anyway, now that I've kind of zoomed out, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see this edit right here. This one is a little rougher, but I think we're going to use the same approach. Let's play through it and listen to it first.
Example, and I was...
Okay, so let's back it up a little bit.
Striking example.
Striking example.
And I was delighted to...
Striking example, I was delighted to. That's what I wanted to say. Striking example, I was delighted to... All right, so this and right here we want to lose, this portion right here. So we'll use that same technique. We'll use mark in on the timeline, mark out. Let's give us a little breather here. Out, O. And then we're going to do an extract edit, again by tapping the apostrophe. That takes out the section in between the in and out points, and it closes the gap for us. So let's take a listen to that.
Example, I was delighted to end up with...
You see, now he says, I. Let's see if we can take out that little stutter there.
Example, I was...
Let's zoom in a little tighter here. So if we scrub through it, we're not, of course, not playing it back in real time, but if we scrub through it, so this first little bit here, from here to here, is the I in the I. So I want to lose that. I want to lose that little stutter there. So I've marked in and out points around it. I'm going to tap the apostrophe key to extract and close up the gap. Let's try that again.
I was delighted...
There we go, much better. Let's zoom out. Let's play through that edit a little further back here.
Example, I was delighted to end up with...
Perfect. Okay. So the rest of the audio...
The 280 SL that we have...
is fine.
The anthracite and red is just such a striking combination, and the car was in exceptional condition.
Now that is the core of our video. Everything else that we do, we're going to build around that foundation.